Hey, metal lads of Australia, this is SCHMIER from Germany from the band Destruction. And we're going to talk about our new album, Birth of Malice, today here on Heavy Radio, right?
That's the one, brother. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure, pleasure.
We are here to talk about your new album, Birth of Malice, which is your 16th studio album coming out on March 7th, mate. I know this isn't your first rodeo, you've done it a few times before, but how are you feeling about this particular album?
Every album is like a baby. You're proud, and it feels great when it's released, and when the first people can hear it, or the baby see it. And every baby is the most beautiful baby in the world. So of course you like the new album, but this time we recorded the album already last year in summer. We were mixing it, so it's already old to us. So I had time, 6 months now, 7 months to kind of recap and look back. And I have to say, I still like it after such a long time. And that's a good sign normally for a musician, because usually you want to change stuff right after. But we worked pretty long the whole summer and little breaks on the album. So everybody's satisfied. So yeah, it feels good. First
Yeah.
responses are great. I think here in Germany, we never had such great reactions on the new album. It's actually surprising. Like, we have some big cover stories and some album of the month stuff here in the print magazines, which are still famous here in Germany. We have some print mags that are leading the scene still. So yeah, that's actually a great surprise after such a long time.
Such a long time. Yeah, you guys are a thrash metal band to the core, bro. So people know what to expect from a Destruction album. But with this album musically, what were you going for? Do you sort of set goals or paths with each album, or do you just get in the studio and rock the fuck out?
Yeah, I mean, we've been a three piece for very long. So when you're a three piece, your writing is always limited, because live you only have one guitar.
Mm.
So for me, writing as a three piece for a big part of the last 20 years, I think we've been writing. We started with the two guitars again in 2019. So since 6 years, I have all the freedom for writing, and there's more guitars now. There's more possibilities. I always say the sky is the limit. I have two great guitar players, so we have progressed the guitar in all the way. There's more guitars on the album. There's more twin guitars, lead guitars, solos. So it's a really guitar-driven record, and I think this is the biggest kind of difference to older Destruction albums, that there's a lot of amazing guitars going on, and also some more unusual stuff, like more melodic solos and stuff that we weren't doing before so much. Maybe on the first albums, but then we kind of lost it. Now we're back to that. I'm a guitar guy, even I'm a bass player, but I love guitars. So you have to admit, the guitars have to be loud and everywhere on the album, and that's what they are.
Yeah, well said, brother. So to date, you've released the singles Angst, Destruction, and No Kings, No Masters. So are they a good idea of what to expect from the whole album, or are they just sort of just a mere sample?
Yeah. I mean, no, usually we always release like the heaviest songs first, and this time, because the album has a wide range, there's a lot of fast stuff, but also some diverse and groovy songs on it. So we said, let's show the people how diverse the album is, and I was a little surprised. The reactions on Angst, the second single, which is more like a very grim, groovy song, were completely great, almost all the way. So I was surprised that the Destruction fans also, kind of liked the groovy part, because I mean, we're a band that has a lot of fast songs. We define on speed and heaviness. So this song was different, but I'm very happy that the reactions were great on that one too. So yeah, as you said, it kind of shows a little bit the range the album has. It's very heavy, very fast, but on the other hand, has some really groovy elements, and some more melodic parts in the guitars, harmonies and stuff. So I think there's some surprises on the album still. Even if it's the 16th album, we still have new elements here and there for sure. Not too new, but within the range of a thrash metal band.
Ah, fantastic. The album starts with the title track, Birth of Malice, which is a melodic piece that only goes for a minute with flamenco guitars. It's almost dreamy until the end when it sort of starts getting a bit of a devilish whisper and becomes more sinister. Like, great way to start the album. Where did that come from?
Yeah, because we thought we never had like a song that is called like the album. There was the intro, and when the album was written, the intro was the stuff we did at the end, and at that time we still didn't have the title. And when we named it Birth of Malice, because it's like it starts very like slow and mellow and evil. We thought it would be a good title for the album also, because there was two ways to call the album: either Destruction, like the first real song on the album, the first heavy song, the intro song, or call it Birth of Malice, which reflects a lot of the lyrics of the album,
And the Destruction's a perfect song to go and do straight after because it just rips your face off. It's full on.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the idea behind it. The Birth of Malice is the intro. It's also going to be a great intro for the live shows. And then, all hell breaks loose when Destruction blasts out of the speakers.
Yeah, well done. Now, this is your 16th album as a band, mate. So does it become easier or harder to come up with new material the more you write, do you think?
I think because you measured, it's maybe easier, because for a while, in the middle of the career, you start to question yourself. You start to ask yourself, am I on the right track? Do I repeat myself? Where do I want to go? Do I want to change the band? And when you measured and old like me now, you know what you can do best. You stick to the guns. You try new stuff. I have a great team around me with my boys, and they're very great musicians. So we can do everything we want, basically. But the formula now is easier than it was in the past, because we just more experience, and the musical skills are better, of course, so you don't struggle when you go to the studio. You are excited to go to the studio. When you're younger, you question yourself too much, and sometimes you do stuff that you might regret later. And when you're older, I think you're more measured. I mean, I still feel the drive in my heart. I'm still 17, and it's just the experience that sometimes paces me down. But I think it's a good mix to keep this, music at heart young. Music keeps you at heart young anyways, so I think it's a good mix, the way we write nowadays. It's easier for me than it was 10 years ago, actually.
Yeah. Very cool. Now, you started the band back in 1982, mate. So what was the musical climate like that gave birth to Destruction, and where did you fit in back in those days?
We were actually the outsiders. I think that in the Destruction song, I think we're the outsiders of society, and it felt like that because in Germany at that time there was no scene. The scene was rising, and we were one of the first bands, and people were looking at us with disgust. They were like, oh my God, what is this? What is this music? How do they look like? And there was no name for metalheads back then. That's actually crazy, because metal started, new wave of British heavy metal came from England, and all of a sudden we had German metal bands, and we just had the Scorpions before, so it was kind of new to have like this crazy scene. And the scene here in my region was just some friends and the band. So we were just a handful of guys. It was the only metalheads. There was no shows yet. We had to drive to Switzerland for hours, to see a show. And so the first years were a struggle, a fight, but also like a little revolution against society. We were very young and wild, and we were trying to break out of this conservative, Catholic, German, rusty Germanness, So yeah, I guess it helped us really to bring some color into our youth.
Right. So, of course, nowadays, mate, you're recognised as one of the most influential thrash bands ever, especially to come out of Germany. So do you remember at what point of your career you actually sat back yourself and went like, yeah, we're definitely doing all right here?
I think it took long. Even in the 80s, we toured with Motorhead and Slayer. We had some amazing tours, and the 80s were special. Everything was fresh and new, But I think I could only lean back maybe some years ago when maybe like the years before COVID, I was like, we're doing well. And then COVID came, and then I'm
Fucked
like,
everything.
fuck everything. We're fucked. We're done. And I think to resurrect from the COVID with the last album and go back on tour and celebrate 40 years, that was a time when I realized that we have a lot of fans worldwide that are very faithful and that support us really well. And it's really worth it to stick to the guns and continue. But yeah, this is music business. You can never be sure, right?
Nah, that's right.
So I think COVID showed that pretty well, that we all thought it's over because we couldn't play and we couldn't do shit. And so, I mean, Australia was even worse, I think. I mean, Germany had a lot of lockdowns and a lot of, very strict laws. But, for instance, in America, I was much more open. It was easier for the bands to survive there. But those were difficult years. And I think after that, you appreciated much more what you can do and what you have achieved. So I think now I lean back a little bit more. I wouldn't lean back totally because I think
not too far.
I think it's always, you always need to fight. If you're a musician, you always find obstacles that try to stop you. You get ripped off everywhere, So you gotta still, work hard for your monies, I think, nowadays. But I won't complain because it's going good, and the world is changing also, because of the Spotifying and people are buying less and less albums. I mean, the CD basically will die out in the next years. I just saw the pre-sales for the new album, and we still sell a lot of CDs compared to younger bands, but I see it's going down every year with the CD sales. Actually, what's selling really good now is vinyls.
Vinyls coming back, yeah.
Vinyls, they have the third spring already. It's kind of amazing, that vinyl collectors. Some years ago, I thought the cassette would come back, but it didn't happen.
They tried.
Yeah, they actually tried. We did also a cassette edition, but it didn't sell well. I think we sold like 1,000 copies or something.
Yeah.
It's just for collectors, just for the memory. Nobody's gonna listen to that shit anymore. Right?
No, they're not just going, look, I've got a tape.
Who has a cassette player and remembers,
when they used to come unstuck, yep.
Exactly.
Now, many musical trends have come and gone over the 40 plus years that Destruction have been around, mate, but you guys have always stuck to your own path, which is admirable. But have you ever been tempted to sort of try and ride the wave sometimes and go with what everyone else was doing?
I mean, we had our difficulties in the band. We also split for some years, and we had kind of musical differences when we were young, and at the year 1989 that happened, and it showed us a lot of things about how the music business works and how we were too young to understand. And with the years, you gain confidence and gain knowledge about everything. So I'm more like the AC/DC kind of guy, stick to the recipe, stick to the guns, do stuff within your reach, and do what you can do best. And I think AC/DC had this also. I remember in the 90s, people were laughing about AC/DC, like, oh my God, what are they doing? He's doing the same album again. And then the success went down also. I remember starting of 80s and 90s, the success went down. They were just not playing the big stadiums for a while anymore. And they were still sticking to their guns, and they did what they could do best. And they came back stronger than ever, right?
Good lesson.
I think this shows, that do what you can do best. Don't be the how you call this, the flag in the wind, we call it in Germany.
Right, yeah. Good analogy.
Don't try to be the trendsetter. Be the one that is confident about what he's doing, and that's what we do since many years, I think.
Yeah, no. I got to say, mate, you're one of the most humble people I've ever spoken to. It's good to hear.
Thank you.
No worries at all. Now, when Destruction finishes, mate, and hopefully it's a long way in the future, but you guys are going to go down as one of the best and most influential thrash bands ever. So what do you hope the inscription would be on the band's musical tombstone?
I hope there's no brimstone. I think the hopefully the musical journey will go on after our death, because good music should survive, and I'm hopeful that because we were one of the first waves of thrash metal worldwide, that the kids will still remember when I'm dead that like this guy in Germany back in the day with this weird name, he started thrash metal in Germany, and yeah, I hope music lives on. That's something, because I love the stuff from the 70s and 60s, and I appreciate the roots. I hope the metal fans in the future will also appreciate the roots of, because thrash metal was basically the beginning of extreme metal, and it's the root of all evilness in the heavy genre, right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, so no gravestone for us. Let the music do the talking, and hopefully we can play this music as long as possible, because we're going to be the first generation of thrash bands that will retire, maybe.
Cool, but before we go, do you want to just record a little plug for the album? I'll edit it up together and I'll send it to Kris to use as promo for you. So just give fans a bit of an intro to the album and tell them when it's coming out and stuff.
Yeah, I think this is a guitar-driven record. So if you like thrash metal, it will definitely kick your butt. But it also has a lot of traditional heavy metal influences, because that's what I'm coming from, right? I grew up in the 80s, and the older I get, the more the heavy influences from the early 80s are important in the music again. So this album has a lot of reminiscence to the 80s, metal classics also here and there. The harmony resolutions, they have some Priest and Maiden here and there. That's my favorites. So I think if you're like a metal fan in general, give it a listen. It has a wide range from very speedy to very groovy to like tank metal songs that are just roll over you. And yeah, as I said, a lot of catchy guitars, a lot of catchy hooks, and check it out.
Fantastic, brother. Well, thanks very much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Birth of Malice is out March 7, and it is a fucking ball terror, mate. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, man. And yeah, have a great night. You're already at night, right, in Australia?
Yes,
right now?
8 o'clock at night, brother. I'm going to have dinner and hit the fart sack after I speak to you.
Okay. I have my whole day in front of me. Have a good one.
Nice. Enjoy, brother. We'll see you when you come out to Australia. Ciao, bud.
Thank you. Bye-bye.